Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening now. When you hit the follow button, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and expands our base. This morning's podcast is not an easy one, and I want you to know that. I listened to Donald Trump speaking about January 6th, warriors, hostages, victims. I heard him talk about revenge and retribution. So last night I sat down and I reread the January 6th report. Those who attacked the Capitol were not warriors, they were cowards trying to assault the very essence of American democracy. For Donald Trump to characterize them as warriors is beyond comprehension. And as for those who have been convicted in court, who have pled guilty in court, to call those who committed the abominations of January 6th hostages is absurd. And there needs to be a clarity about that. And as for those who are today in prison being victims, quite the contrary. They were not victims, they were perpetrators. I am using Donald Trump's own words, so you and I together can understand the impact of what Donald Trump continues to do. And as for revenge and retribution, let me be clear. When Richard Nixon's enemies list was published, those of us who worked for him were ashamed. And by the way, some of the people on the enemies list were people I knew very well, some who had worked loyally for Richard Nixon. We swore in those days, 50 years ago, that never again would a president of the United States assemble that kind of list and get away with it. Donald Trump actively speaks about weaponizing the Justice Department. No, not the Democrats weaponizing the Justice Department, although he accuses them of that. Donald Trump says he will weaponize the Justice Department. Have you heard him use the terms revenge and retribution? Is that what we want in the White House? Thank God Merrick Garland today did an op-ed piece in the Washington Post. The Attorney General struck back against those who would attack the Justice Department, and yes, those who would misuse the Justice Department. This is a critical moment in the history of our country. We cannot surrender American democracy to a man who speaks of warriors, hostages, victims, who talks of revenge and retribution. The American people must stand united against a candidate for president who would make such statements. And 3 cheers for Merrick Garland. 3 cheers for Merrick Garland. He has had the courage to stand up and defend the Justice Department, and rightly so. I want to talk about the debates that are coming up very shortly between Biden and Trump. Actually, I should say debate. There is one scheduled this month. And there is one question which should be asked, and I hope is asked. Who won the election of 2020? It will give Joe Biden the opportunity to stand up and defend democracy. It will give Donald Trump the chance to once again spread those horrific lies that the 2020 election was stolen. And I might add, perhaps one other question that should be asked, was January 6th an insurrection? Was it an attempt to prevent democracy, the election of a president, from taking place? I can tell you that Joe Biden and Donald Trump will give diametrically different answers, and that we need to know, and the American people need to know, with great clarity, which answers they give. I want to speak for a moment about a tape that I heard this morning. Justice Samuel Alito was taped at a conservative religious conference speaking in a tape recorder. I don't know if he knew the recorder was on, but he revealed himself to be what he is, a man with a deep ideology who is determined to impose that ideology on the American people through his presence on the Supreme Court. Yesterday, I spoke about the question of the Supreme Court and its role in American life. When I heard today that recording, I thought to myself, thank God I did it yesterday. We are at a crossroads in the United States of America. Make no mistake, it is a choice between democracy and authoritarianism. It is a choice between someone who speaks out boldly for democracy and someone who disparages democracy at every turn. I am convinced beyond any measure that there is one thing which must happen on November 5th, 2024. Donald Trump must be repudiated by the American people. It's interesting. Some of the polls are now indicating that people who may not want to vote for Joe Biden are voting against Donald Trump. And that's what we need to do. No one is suggesting that Joe Biden is the perfect president. No one is saying that Joe Biden has not made errors. But what we are saying is that if it is a choice, and it is a choice, between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, there is no question. We have to vote for Joe Biden in overwhelming numbers. It's interesting. Somebody asked me, but don't the American people vote for an election? I said, no. Very often the American people vote against. And I believe with all my heart that in this election, no matter what the issues, no matter what the concerns, the idea of Donald Trump back in the White House, well, it would be a disaster for the United States of America. So I want you to remember what Donald Trump said about the January 6th people. He called them warriors, hostages, and victims. I know you don't believe that. And I know you would not vote for a person, for President of the United States, who advocates revenge and retribution. These are the issues which drive my thoughts as we approach the election of 2024. I wanted to share it with you today while I feel so strongly, and I will continue to articulate this point of view right up until November 5th. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World. Make sure to follow along and let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow, especially today's message. Let people know. Let's get response. Let's get them worked up. You can follow me and interact with me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And of course, my special appreciation to the wonderful producer of this podcast, Go-Go Zoger. I am John Rothman. I will see you tomorrow